Good evening. We have a special guest today, Anjali Mittal. She is an artist. बहुत कम बोल सकते हैं. I mean, we can describe very little about her passion. She does painting using her fingers. So इससे ज़्यादा तो नहीं मालूम मैम. So maybe you can give me a description. I saw your channel, a short description of your video. I loved it because I've seen a lot of artists. And most of the time, and especially in this particular pandemic time, बहुत सारे artists पूरे, they were all sad, images, sad paintings, those were coming across. But I've seen your video. You completely believe and you believe in painting happiness across you. So yeah, maybe you can talk about yourself and what inspired you to paint with your fingers, and why happy paintings.
Uh, about myself first.
Yes.
So, I think an artist's journey begins from very early on. My father was in the defense services, and so we've been to many places, for 3 years here and 3 years there. So, seen a lot, right from childhood. A lot of new places, and that we were always excited to go to new places. And my mother also, she's very well educated at her time. She was a double BA, MA, and she was a vocal singer and sitarist.
Wow.
So I think she recognized in me very early on that I like to paint and create, especially not only paint. I love to create things out of broken things and things like that. So she would leave me at that because she understood me so well, because she herself was an artist, of course not a painting artist. And so moving on from one school to another and meeting so many people from different states gave me a lot of insight into people and the India that we live in. I came to know a lot of people from other states and their cultures. And in fact, the defense services had a culture of its own.
Right.
Because of so many other people's cultures, it was an amalgamation, yet people did keep to their own traditional things as well during festival time. But when we met on a daily basis, whether we were playing badminton, a lot of sports facilities and everything was there, for us. So my school was I changed 7 schools. But college was more stable. So I'm from Delhi University, Lady Irwin College. I did 2 bachelor's degrees from there. And after that, I got married. So, and I had children by 24. I had 24 years of age, I had 2 children. And my husband recognized that I can paint, and he was really excited. He wanted me to take up painting once again, and he said, you have a talent which you yourself don't recognize. So you start painting. So I started to paint at the age of maybe 27 or so.
Okay.
Again picked up my brush, and we would go very far in Agra to buy paint and brush, because all these Air Force stations, they are so far flung. But I would do that and paint. And then we moved on to another city. And then there also I joined a lady who would teach me how to do oil painting.
Okay.
And side by side, I again picked up badminton and started playing badminton as well, and painting. And I got into teaching, and all but painting was maybe 2-3 paintings in a year, like what MF Hussain did when he was about to die. But I did that. So I'm not comparing myself. What I'm saying is I wasn't that much into painting. But I joined a lot of courses and classes. So I sort of trained myself to, paint even better. And it has been a journey, of maybe 30-35 years that I've been painting, but very seriously for the last say 10 years. I've been painting and just taking up challenges, joining classes, and uh, and my husband also, he we love to travel. He loves to travel, so I've seen a lot of countries, and what I found there was that people. I mean, the and sky was so clear, right, as it is right now during the COVID. you know, the sky was so clear and things looked so happy, and the sky was so nice and blue, and the flowers were so huge. Even the squirrels were so big, and even the pigeons were like so
True.
big. So I felt, yes, life is about happiness, and so it made me happy, and I started doing a lot of flowers and seashores, and because that's what was making me happy. So started painting that, and that's how I do. If you can see one painting here at the back, the sky is entirely done with fingers.
Wow.
Can I show one or two paintings?
Yes, yes, please. Would
Oh,
love to see that.
so you can see this one.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's an
This one is also painted with fingers.
wow.
This is also about sea, and then this is totally imaginary poppies and all done with fingers, and the mountain at the back is also done with fingers.
Wow.
And this is entirely done with fingers.
Mm. Yes, so this is a lake with lotus,
Yes, I love
water lilies.
impressionistic painting. Van Gogh is my most favorite artist,
Mm.
and I love his impression. Now, if you can see the tree trunk, it's entirely done with fingers.
Yes.
You know? So I feel that doing something, directly with your hands, it's like playing with clay.
Yes.
How potters
You can
feel
actually feel.
when they, yeah, they feel so grounded and so happy munching all that mud up and all. I also feel similar, painting directly with my fingers. It's like it's my tool instead of a brush. Of course, I do use brush and other tools as well, but I feel
Mostly you.
most happy when I use my, and black and white is something which I really love. So you can see
Oh,
some of my black and white paintings.
that's
I'll just show two
so that's painted on a paper, right? So on an
on
article.
a book page.
Oh, that's
Painted on
very
a book.
unique. The first time I'm seeing it. Maybe it's very common, but I'm seeing for the first time. Oops, we lost her. Just give us a minute, guys. Let me connect back with her. Just a second. So it's very odd when you are live and the guest gets disconnected. So you're just trying to connect back with Anjali. Those were lovely paintings. I think what I feel,
Ah,
yeah,
happened. Yeah.
you're back again.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got disconnected.
So this is on printed paper.
Mm-hmm.
This is a old it's an old book page which I
Okay.
painted on, and sometimes I try to get the caption, from here, and I think of what I should be painting.
Hmm.
So it's like that.
This
I'm
is
sorry, I
unique.
don't know what
I'm
happened to
like
the.
first time I'm seeing this. This is unique.
I've done a lot of work on that anyway. Yeah, so this is about me, and so I like to do contemporary impressionistic work.
Hmm.
So it's not realistic. It's impressionistic. My impressions, and then I put that on my canvas.
Okay. So this is
Yeah.
almost like you know difference of using a brush and doing it from your hand is like eating food with your hand versus eating your food with a spoon.
Yes, 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 yes. So spoon is just a tool so that you don't get infection, or maybe you don't put it all over your face. The food. But if you are an expert, like all Indians are, you'll put it into your mouth. Same way, if if you keep on painting with your fingers, one will become. What I feel that everybody should have a hobby. A
Hmm.
lot of my friends, uh, I'm 62 years old, and a lot of my friends say, "Yeah, acha hai, you have a hobby at least. You can start painting." I said, everybody should have one, and one. I tell my young friends also, inculcate something into a hobby, and it'll see you through in your old age.
Yeah.
Your life will be so exciting. If you have uh, you should have two hobbies, indoor one which you can do in all seasons, and an outdoor hobby, which maybe cycling, or going for treks
Right.
or things
Yes.
like that. So life is so exciting uh,
I agree.
when you have, and you can develop your hobbies into your passion, and your passion into your profession. There's it's endless. So I'm so lucky that I had this in me to paint and to do gardening, and I'm on my toes. I don't suffer any diseases. you know
Yeah,
so
that's
it's a
that's
good
also
thing.
important because it's you're engaging yourself with something. The day you stop, that's when you start
Start
accumulating
aging.
all. And we had a lot
Yes,
of guests who started late. I mean, we had Veera who started yoga at the age of 43. At the age of 53, she's the owner of a restaurant. And we had somebody who learned karate, Ms. Madhuri. She started learning karate at the age of 39, 40, and she got the black belt in like 2 years. So I think if somebody didn't get a chance, I think they can still start something, and it doesn't take much time. All it needs is the first brush, first
yes.
painting.
And it's a therapy also.
Yeah,
It's a therapy to be able to, when you paint, you forget everything else around you. You forget the time. I remember my mother would say, Anjali, khana kha lo, eat your food,
hmm.
it's past. And then she would just say it once, and then she won't say it again, because she knew that I'm at something and she should not be disturbing me and break the spell, so to say, So you forget about time, you forget about your worries, you forget about. I was not very good in my other subjects, so I used to forget about that.
Nice, nice, ma'am. We also want to know you well, so we have some rapid fire questions. Are you all set?
I don't know, ask me first. Let's see what they are.
Okay. What describes this artwork to someone who's never seen it? So how would you describe it?
They are my impressions.
They're your impressions. Okay. What excites you about this particular artwork?
Uh, the process.
The entire process of doing it.
Yes, yes, yes.
So otherwise, Anjali behind the scenes, how is she at home? What are the three uh, words to describe Anjali apart from being
Never,
an artist?
never resting, never sitting down. It's I always like to be on my toes and do something or the other, you know. And as an artist, thinking what, how I can, sort of put something into my canvas.
Okay.
Thinking is also a kind of work, you know. It's a very huge work. When an artist is not painting, doesn't mean he's not doing anything.
He's thinking about the
uh,
next one.
yes, he needs an artist needs a lot of time browsing around, and that's what motivates him. It's not about just picking up your brush and canvas and starting to paint.
I know.
A lot of thinking goes into it.
So, which painting took the most of your time, and how
My
many hours?
initial years, yeah, initial years were when I used to do some portraits and other landscapes.
Hmm.
They used to take a lot of time because I wanted them to be perfect, And as I aged in my painting, this thing I realized, there's no need to be perfect because that is not you. I mean, the imperfections are the things that bring out a painting. It's not the perfection. It's like I mean, of course, a lot of artists make exactly the same as what they see. They make portraits and things like that. But I feel that that should go to a photographer to produce exactly what he sees. An artist should uh, give impressions of that thing, or maybe different colors. A face can be blue, green, the eyes can be red or white or whatever. So, and that will depend on how the artist is feeling at that point of time.
So, during your childhood as Anjali, what is that, the weirdest thing or the most memorable thing that you've done during your childhood, which you see a similar thing happened with your kids? History
my
repeating.
kids are my kids are not half as naughty as I was, I'm sorry to say. I used to take my uncle's Lambretta, which was parked in our garage. I would take it out of the main gate and kick it and start it and fall somewhere here and there. I mean,
Oh
I
my
was
God.
very,
Okay.
I was,
A typical
and
tomboy sort of a.
yes.
Hmm.
And in college, I was in Lady Irwin College. It was a girls' college. I was in the hostel, and a lot of boys would come to meet, other girls, and so they would come on their bike, and I would take their bike and go on a bike ride. Of course, my parents never knew that I'm going around in the bike, driving a bike. And 4 5 years after that, I see on the front page of Hindustan Times, first girl on the bike, some lady's photograph. I said, oh my God, I didn't know that she was the first girl on the bike, driving a bike.
So
So
it
I
wasn't you,
was,
but you realized किसी का picture आया है, but you've been doing it for a while.
yes, yes, yes. I think it happens with a lot of us. And
Hmm.
my children, I would say I was very protective. And they would, I mean, we won't let them go on the bike, or, uh, one of my friend's son had an accident, bike accident. And straight away, my husband told my son, now no more biking, we are going to buy you a car.
Hmm. Yeah. It's
So
dangerous
that's
now.
how
Yeah, it is. It like things have changed. I think the
things
freedom which
have
we had, the
changed.
roads we had, the difference. There are hardly any roads. The driving style have changed. So I agree with
Yes.
you. I mean, yeah,
The
it's
one
risky.
thing similar I did was when my son fell off his bicycle when we were in Allahabad. He went to school,
Hmm.
and after when he was coming home, his cycle went into another scooterist or something, and the front wheel got all twisted, and his pants were torn and all that. He was in seventh or sixth standard. So he came home, and my husband said, "No more going on the cycle to school. You will get your rickshaw or something. You go. I said, no, he will go on the cycle. He has to go on his cycle, otherwise he'll never go do.
He will learn. Yeah.
He'll always be scared of road or something like that. And as soon as his cycle was repaired, he went to school on his cycle. So that is something like me. Yeah, that's your first question when you asked.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you spend time in gardening. So what is that you're growing now? So, and the best of the memories with your gardening.
Gardening was like when we were staying in Allahabad in my mother-in-law's house. There was a lot of land, and I would I started gardening there, growing all kinds of vegetables, and my children also, they were so engrossed, they would also, in fact, it was a very good education for them also. They know what a bhindi plant looks like, what a karela plant looks like, what a tomato plant looks like. And I find my daughter's friends and my son's friends, they don't know,
Yeah.
From scratch, they can make out, as soon as the sapling starts growing, my children can make out that what plant is this. Most of the times they can make it out. But I find that their peer group, they are not, they can't make out. So that was one very good advantage of my hobby on my children. So, and right now I live on a high-rise building, so I have to grow all my things in pots. So this is another kind of learning, because it's growing on the soil is different, and growing in pots is an entirely different story.
True, I
So
agree.
a lot of care is needed. Yeah, but I liked one of Ramdev's dialogue, that why do you grow exotic plants in your house? Why don't you grow the normal day-to-day requirement plants? They can also look beautiful, and plus they can give you, not that I'm a fan of Ramdev's, but this dialogue stuck in my head, that you why grow things which you have to really take care of, like orchids or something like that. Grow the normal thing which is
Which will give
which
you
you
some
find in
yield.
your surrounding. Yeah, which you find in your surroundings, and which sort of you can use also.
Your best travel moments, the best destination which you have traveled. I mean, scenic way, because you are into painting, which will always be captured in your mind.
My best travel, I would say, was the last in 2016. We took a cruise ship from Singapore to Sydney, and it was for 17 days on the ship, and we crossed the equator as well. And of course, it was exciting, but you can't really see the equator, so it was just a thing. But what really I loved was the skies, and so I've been painting a lot of blues and blacks and other kind of skies, because every day the sky was different, and the water and I mean, that's where I get my inspiration for painting beaches and seas and skies, which you can see at the back also. Yeah.
So your favorite moment during those naval days, naval quarters, those weekly movies?
No, my husband was in the Air Force, and so was my father. So we were never in the Navy. Yeah. So what I'm talking about is a private cruise that we took. Not. It's not. Yeah. So my favorite moments during the air base where we used to stay. We have stayed in Pune, Then we have stayed. My father was there in Srinagar as well. Then we have seen Baroda, Jamnagar, then Barrackpur, and a lot of Delhi, of course, and Faridabad, and so many places. So, of course, the exciting thing was playing in the evening, taking your racket out, taking your cycle out, and going for, and of course, these places are always so far away that you see a lot of wildlife in terms of birds and beautiful birds, and sometimes you get to see some animals across the fence, blue bulls and peacocks. Agra was full of peacocks. I mean, it was like as if each one could have one peacock. There were so many peacocks.
Yeah.
And we have partridges. So these are such nice, very nice childhood in terms of, natural surroundings.
Yeah, that's the
Very
best part.
nice.
And what I've seen is wherever these three wings of military, whether it's Air Force, Navy, or military army, the quarters and the outskirts, the surroundings are always, they never compromise on greenery, and they generally do not recommend cutting the trees. So I've seen a lot of areas where there is a tree which is in between the compound wall, and the wall is like built around the tree, and they still build the wall. So that's the best part. So
There's
wish,
so much land that you don't really need to cut any trees.
yeah, yeah. Wish. Sometimes I feel rather, you should have military, ruling across the country, so that things are disciplined and you're not losing greenery.
Yes, yes, that's military ruling. I don't know about. I don't know how military people will behave if they are given that command the entire. It'll become like Pakistan or not. I don't know. I'm not. I can't comment on that. But yes, they are very disciplined people, and they love. I am a thoroughbred armed forces child and wife, and I like discipline. And when it comes to people's work or my work, or there should be some discipline. So
So, ma'am, what would you do if you become the chief minister? What are the areas you would focus on?
yeah, I was thinking of this question. So, when I saw this lockdown happening and so many people, workers and laborers going back to their villages and the economy going down, so I thought, why can't the chief ministers, or you can say even the prime minister of India, have certain factories or ancillaries to factories in the villages, so that people in the villages are employed near their homes, and you can have, like if there's a telephone factory, you can just have one factory in the village making a certain telephone part, and then that can be transported to the bigger factories where they assemble the entire thing. So that way, our village people will not need to go very far away, leave their land, leave their families. And of course, the downside will be we won't get any servants.
Yeah, that would be there, but yeah, yeah.
That will be there, and but at least they'll be closer to their homes. And yeah, right now it was pathetic. The laborers had to, workers and laborers they just sat for 2 months. Then they all wanted to go home because they walked. So many of them died. Less of COVID, more of walking home. So that's the time I thought of this, that if I was a CM, I would do something for them in their villages.
Yeah, good point, ma'am. I also agree, but I think COVID will also bring in some of the entrepreneurs to start something on their own. You know, some things get started when you get dejected or rejected. Why should I go to that state and work? Why can't I do something over here? Why should I work there? I will let me start something here. And I did
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
couple of my friends who moved back to startup clients or customers of mine who move back to their own state, and they said, sir, hum yahi pe rahenge, I'm starting this. I'm like so happy that okay, they're starting
Yes.
something there. They were into a completely different field here, and they wanted to start something completely different, but which will work there. So yeah, I think this will also start. There'll be a lot of businesses which will start evolve locally, because they felt that okay, why should I go there, ये मतलब क्यों वहाँ पे जी के वहाँ पे जी के ये करना क्यों. So I think that will be there, but that's a good point.
My children, both my children are graduates and postgraduates from IIT.
Hmm.
And when they went to these colleges, my friends told me once they pass out from IIT, they'll go abroad, you know.
Hmm.
So
Right.
I got a real shock, you know. I said, oh my God, because for me, family is very important. For everybody, it is, I know. But
So,
for I like to stay near my family. So that point really, hit me hard. That oh my God! But I don't mind. I've been to many countries, but I felt that my children should not go abroad to work. So I started brainwashing them, slowly that, if you all are from IIT, if all the people, good people go off to America and other places, then India will be left with nothing, So we must have good people in India.
true.
So probably, I don't know what they thought. I'll have to ask them. But both of them opted to stay here
Okay.
and work in India. They go when their work demands, they go for 1 week or 2 weeks, whatever, and they come back. But their base is India,
Yeah.
and they don't want to go and settle abroad.
Yeah.
you know.
After this particular situation, I don't think so anybody would.
And this, yes.
Yeah, good
So
decision they've taken. So things have changed now.
yes,
People have realized the importance of being in India. So nice, man.
close to our own people.
Yeah, good. Nice talking to you. Nice connecting with you. Lovely paintings. Keep sharing your art, and all the best with what you're doing. And your video is also setting an example for a lot of women who are still exploring. क्या करेंगे? कुछ तो passion करना है. So this is best example to continue with some passion, and take up like painting, gardening, do something hatke, and spend time, keep yourself engaged, and spread happiness,
Thank you,
because
Ravi. I should also thank you for giving me this lovely opportunity to go on air with you and giving me this opportunity to talk with you and share my views. Thank
most
you.
welcome, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Thank you for connecting, and keep sharing your inspiring, happy paintings, which have your personal touch. Would love to
Yes.
really see and appreciate your work. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ravi.
Have a
Thank
great
you,
evening.
Ravi.
It's a lovely weather there. So आपसे जब बात कर रहे बारिश गिर रही थी, and it's like when you're talking about beaches, skies, and all that, the weather out here is like, it's almost dark here. You can see that.
It's dark in Hyderabad.
Yeah, it's now raining. So
Cloudy.
yeah,
Okay,
it's
it's
cloudy and
raining.
raining.
Oh,
Yeah. So आपके शो में शुरू हुआ, as soon as we started, we hit live, it started raining. So लिखा था अंजलि जी के साथ इंटरव्यू बारिश में होगी.
yes. Bilkul, bilkul. Wish you best of weather in Hyderabad.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, friends, for joining in. Do connect with Anjali ji, and do encourage artists who are like creating, good vibes around us. Thank you.